My morning runs are super dark right now because here we are in January in the thick of winter. So I've started to have to run with a headlamp because not only is it dark, but there's been a lot of storms. So there's a lot of debris in my running trail. Anyways, I hadn't used my headlamp in forever. So I dug it out one morning when I realized I couldn't see and I was going to trip and fall. And the battery wasn't charged. I was able to borrow my husband's very industrial headlamp for that particular day. But when I came to charge it later on, I kid you not, I spent 20 minutes going through a drawer of all of these chargers. I looked at what the little input looked like, trying to find the right connections. I spent all this time. I finally said, I can't find one that works. Showed it to my husband. I kid you not, 30 seconds later, he found the right charging cable. Two completely different approaches, right? Mine very methodical. His was just let's test it sort of thing. And his approach was way more effective than mine in this particular circumstance, but that's how life goes. So there's more than one approach to everything. And I've talked a lot about my roadmap for life, but I want to give you guys some different approaches because I know that tool works amazingly well for me and many of my clients, but there's more than one way to create that roadmap. Let's get into some different ways to look at this. But before we do that, I want to share with you guys my most powerful routine each day, the most productive 10 minutes of my day. You guys only have this one precious life, and I want to make sure that you're living each day to its maximum. So make sure to go check out my reset routine. It's a free video series on how to create that routine in your life, and I will link it down below. So the first approach is just letting life happen. And this works best for those that like to live more in the moment, being mindful in the present moment and really going with the flow. A lot of creatives like to be in that flow state because it really feels like it helps them tap into their creativity. The benefit of this approach is that you tend to have less stress and anxiety and higher levels of well-being. In fact, there was a research study done about this, and it argued that the acceptance can be a key factor in psychological well-being. The authors argued that acceptance of difficult experiences and situations are key in having emotional regulations rather than avoidance or resistance. People that tend to be really, really goal-oriented with a specific action plan tend to resist obstacles. And this go with the flow mentality leads to greater psychological well-being and fewer symptoms in psychological disorders. So if you feel like you are a less structured human and you're more of a go with the flow person, that's fantastic, but you still want to create a life by design, create a roadmap for life. I recommend finding more ways to get into a flow state and still identify where you want to go with life and take advantage of your ability to go with the flow, but also create a practice where you're checking in with those goals on a regular basis. I'll provide some links down below on how to get into that flow state, which you might be already excellent at anyways. And coming up, I believe it's next week, we're going to do another post all about how to get into flow. Another approach that you can use to writing a life plan is to create a mind map. So a mind map is a way to brainstorm and organize ideas visually. So this works really, really well for people that prefer to take in information in a visual way. Mind mapping allows you to visually organize your ideas and makes it easier to identify themes and links between thoughts. One great way to do this is to take some important aspects of your life, like we do in the Roadmap for Life. So maybe your business, your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your husband, make that a central idea, the core idea in the center of the life plan, and then have the spokes come out from there. I'll put a visual of what one looks like right here for you. But some places where you can create mind maps other than using like old school pen and paper is something like Canva actually allows mind maps, and also a tool called Coggle. And I'll put a link to both of those below as well. Okay, the final approach I wanted to give you for creating a life plan is the idea of asking the question, wouldn't it be cool if? This is another brainstorming technique, but if you are a less structured person and really like to get lost in thought, simply sitting down and asking yourself, wouldn't it be cool if? Like, what would you want out of life? And when you find your cool idea, then you use the process of reverse engineering, which we do in the Roadmap for Life, to work back to action steps for that goal. So let's use an example. Say you had an idea, wouldn't it be cool if I took a year off to travel the world? So that is your cool idea. Then we need to break down how you're going to reach that goal. Save enough money to travel the world, research how you're going to make the trip, and quit your current job or your current responsibilities, right? We're just dreaming here. And then you can use the SMART or SMARTER criteria to break down those goals. So SMART, the S is specific, and your specific goal is to take a year off to travel the world. Your measurable is you would have to save $50,000 in order to cover your travel expenses. Your achievable is to research and start planning your trip and find out ways that you can make money along the way. And then the R is relevant. So that could be, this goal aligns with my love of travel and my desire to see new places. Then finally T, the time bound. You want to take off on this journey in 12 months from today. Then you can start creating a plan of action. How are you going to save the $50,000 that you need to take this trip? Research and start planning the trip and how you're going to, walk away from your current obligations. That might be a tough one. Prioritize and start working on that first step, and then review and adjust your plan as necessary, because life throws curveballs. Things are going to come up and you might have to adjust your plan as you go along. And of course, celebrate your progress along the way. When you stick some money in that bank account, celebrate. When you book that airline ticket, celebrate. So that's just another way to go about the thinking process of creating a roadmap for life. We talked about letting life just happen. We talked about mind mapping, and we also talked about the idea of thinking, wouldn't it be cool if? If you guys want to go back and revisit the original video I did on how to create a roadmap for life, I'll put a link right here, but it's called How to Design Your Life, and I'll see you over in that video. Bye for now, and make it a great day.